For a while now, I've been struggling with this idea of what should my YouTube channel be about. What do I want to make my videos? And for people who've seen it, the channel is basically just things that interest me that I've been posting. But recently, through meditation, I've come to this state of awareness that's very similar to being able to look upon your life from a third person's point of view with nearly complete fairness and really question what I'm doing and my motivations behind it. And it's been this whole journey I've been on, and I really just want to explore this more and this level of awareness. And for most people, they won't understand what I'm talking about. They'll dismiss it as crazy, but it really feels like being woken up from the matrix and your daily routines and your habits and your chains of thoughts that you go through every day. And it's like you step outside and you get perspective on your life and everything that you've been going through and everything that you've done and the reasons why you've done it. And it can be this very uncomfortable feeling. Because at times I find myself full of doubt, full of uncertainty, full of questioning where I'm going and what the future holds. I have no one telling me what to do. I decide where I want to go. And it's very, very uncomfortable at sometimes, but I'd rather exist in this state than to go back to being conscious, to being watching YouTube and videos constantly, to going through and binge watching TV shows, having audiobooks constantly playing, never setting intentions for my actions, never being like, this is what I want to do and this is why I want to do it, and I'm going to make time for it. It's kind of like going unconscious and just allowing stuff to happen. And for a lot of people, you don't understand what I'm talking about, either through just not being there and ready for it yet, or through not wanting to actually understand it because of how uncomfortable the state can be. And I see no other option than to continue existing in this state and to continue loving it. And I finally understand the saying of like dying in dying through your love of the world. And that's kind of what it feels like constantly, but I love it too much not to continue being here. It's very, very uncomfortable sometimes, but I see it as everyone is going to get woken up eventually, whether or not you distract yourself and you continue your existence and continue doing what you're doing, and you continue not being mindful of the things that drive you and the reasons why you actually are doing what you're doing. And eventually you're going to be 90 years old, you're going to be 100 years old, and you're going to be too tired to move anymore. And you're just going to be in bed, and you'll have nothing to do besides think. You'll have nothing to do besides reflect upon your life and whether or not you lived a good one. And when it comes time to that, your ego will finally be smashed and you'll have perspective. You will realize that you're dying and you'll look back on your life. And I don't want to get to that point and have that be the first time I was ever conscious of how I lived. I don't want to get there and finally look back and be like, I didn't live the life I wanted to live. I want to keep this state because while I'm young and I can do stuff, I can make my life into what I want it to be. I can channel it and pursue things that I want to pursue. Because when you're too old, you won't have time for this, and you'll be dying and looking back and just full of regrets and could'ves and would'ves. But that's not where I want to be. I want to continue to exist in this state of awareness and see the perspective on my life so that I can make the changes I want to make now, so that I can continue to be the person who I want to be. And the whole point of this channel is going to be to explore that more, talk about the mindfulness and being aware of the small things, enjoying life and everything that it has to offer. But that's not really like, it's not really mainstream. If you talk to most people about this, they're like, in their job, they will tell you it's a living. And if you've ever said that about the job you're working now, I'm sorry, but you're not living. You might be making a living, but you're not living yourself. You're going through the motion, and that's uncomfortable. That's a hard thing to swallow. And I've been dancing with this idea of whether or not to go more mainstream with the channel and why I would want to go mainstream. And I would be able to have a greater reach and kind of help more people reach the state of awareness if they wanted to. But I mean, I'm going to make some videos that are a little bit more mainstream to introduce people into the ideas, but some of them are just not gonna be, and I kind of want to make it so that this channel documents my process and how I've done it. If anyone else sees it and connects with it, they can kind of follow or see how I've done it in order to become aware and in this state. And I mean, it's really, even for me, I'm not in it all the time. I try to maintain it through meditation, through mindfulness, but I slip in and out of it. And when I'm in it, I try to reflect on my practices and change what I need to change so that I can be in it more, because I know I won't be able to, at least yet, stay in it all the time. I'm not always going to be this conscious. I'm not always going to be this aware. Things happen in life. And I've been extremely aware and had perspective, and then I get all tied up in some project and some drama and something that happens, and I'll find myself watching TV throughout the day, constantly on YouTube, constantly going through songs and listening, and kind of like anything to distract myself from my own thoughts, because I know that if I sit down with my thoughts, they're going to tell me how I'm messing up, how I'm not being aware, how I don't have perspective anymore. And it's very uncomfortable to come to that realization, but I hope to maintain it through daily meditation. And it's kind of like ice bath, where you force yourself to be in the water in the cold, even though you know you don't really want to do it, even though you know you don't like it. But with meditation, it's forcing yourself to be aware, creating that room for awareness, for perspective, so that you can see where your ego may have driven you to look down upon someone else, or what you may have shouldn't have done that you regretted but you didn't want to think about yet. And that's where I'm gonna go with this channel. That's what I want to pursue, because I don't see any other way than to dive into it, than to run straight through it. I think it's a Terrence McKenna quote, but when you jump into the abyss and you realize that it's a featherbed, and I'm just gonna keep jumping into that abyss, and I'll come to that featherbed eventually. I've been there, and I know it's real, and sometimes you find yourself in the abyss for longer, and you just haven't landed on that featherbed yet, but I can promise you the featherbed does exist at the end of it, and it's very pleasant. And it seems like on this go around of waking myself back up and becoming aware of my own motivations, of what's going on in my head, it's just taking me a little bit longer to land on that featherbed. But I'm going to keep you updated. I'm going to keep documenting this. And if anyone wants to, or if anyone actually understands what I'm going through, what it feels like to be in this headspace, I love some advice in the comments. I mean, this channel is never gonna really be mainstream, and for a while I had this goal of like silver play button, gold play button on YouTube, like just ego validation through an audience. And I've come to realize through making videos that I know are going to be a little bit more, have a wider appeal, and I know they're going to do a little bit better. They don't speak to me the same way some of the other videos on here I make. They don't, like, it feels like I'm selling my time, like I'm selling my energy for views. Like they just don't give me the sense of fulfillment that making videos about awareness and consciousness and like for the everythingness of the universe and the mysteries that it holds. Like, I know if I make another video talking about like just like reflecting on, I did so-and-so's routine for 30 days and here's my thoughts on it, like, I know those get more views, I know those do better, but it's a lot of work to film them, and it's not really what speaks to me. And right now I'm very much reminded of this video I made in August talking about not wanting to get stuck in a 9 to 5, but stay awake and stay aware.